Hello again, I Sensei here. So for today's occasion, I'm going to explain about the USNCO exam 2021 for question numbers 13 to 20. So for those of you who haven't seen the explanation for the previous number, you can go to the previous videos, and then if you want to download the question, you can go to my blog, and then you can see or download the question there. So we are going to discuss about the questions starting from number 13. Okay, so let's start. Question number 13. So the diagram shows molecules, and then what state of matter is depicted: solid, liquid, gas, or plasma. So this is the diagram of the particles here, and then if we observe the behaviors of the particle, as we can see, the speed or the velocity of the molecules, they are going to random directions. So that's the first one. And then the second one, if we take a look on the distances between particles are also vary. And then last, the molecules are concentrated at the bottom, so particles are still affected by gravity. So this is obvious that this is the characteristic of liquid, because if it is gas, particles will occupy the whole container. So in this case, the answer is B. Well, let's continue to question number 14. The vapor density of which fluorocarbon is 6.17 grams over liter at 20 degrees and 180 m. So which fluorocarbon is that? The keyword here is vapor. So we can tell that the vapor should follow the ideal gas law. I'm pretty sure that you are familiar with the ideal gas law, which says that PV equals nRT, and then N is the number of mole. To find the number of mole, we can find from mass dividing by dmr. And then the information that we got here is the density. So density is equal to mass over volume. And then if we take a look at this equation, we can rearrange this ideal gas correlation. We can modify into density form. So by doing rearrangement, we can obtain the correlation like this: density equals P times mR, and then at the denominator part, this is R times T. However, we already got the density value. So to figure out which fluorocarbon is that, our goal is to find the mR value. So basically, we need to rearrange this equation again to get the mR value. And then eventually we can get this correlation. R equals density times R times T, and then divided by the pressure. So by subing their values, 6.17, and then multiply by 0.0821, and then times 296 divided by 1. So the value is roughly 150 grams over mole. And then if we recall the option, fluorocarbon is made from carbon and fluorine. And then if we recall, the options are like this. So let's start from C3. So there are 3 carbon atoms there, and then 3 times 12 is 36, while this one is 150. So If this cannot be the result. Why? Because 8 times 9, the last digit is 2, while this one ended with 6. So it cannot produce 150. And then this one also incorrect, because 48 and then 6 times 9 is ended with 4. So the result is not producing 0 at the last digit. So the possible value is this one or this one. But this one is, the number is a little too big. So the correct result is this. If we calculate, we will get 3 times 12 is 36, and then 6 times 19 is around 120 minus 6, 114. 114 plus 36, the result is 150 grams over mole. So the answer is A. Well, so that's for question number 14. And now we proceed to question number 15. What is the principal intermolecular force that must be overcome when N-hexane is vaporized? To answer this, it is important to know the structure of the N-hexane molecule first. Well, this is the structure of the N-hexane. And then let's see option A, hydrogen bonding. If you still remember what hydrogen bonding is, hydrogen bonding can form between O, F, or N that makes a bond with hydrogen atom. But for N-hexane, there is no such atoms. I mean, N-hexane doesn't contain O, F, or N. So this means that hydrogen bonding does not exist. So option A is wrong. And then let's see option B, covalent bond between atoms. Basically, covalent bond, they are connecting atoms in a molecule. And then during evaporation, you see during evaporation there is a phase change from liquid into gas, but basically they are still the same substance. The same substance means they are still the same, same compounds. Same compounds means they are containing the same molecules. So it means that it has nothing to do with the covalent bond between atoms. Because if covalent bond between atoms are broken, then it will, produce different kind of substance. So option B is totally wrong. And then if we take a look on option C, dipole-dipole forces. Dipole-dipole forces present between polar molecules, while N-hexane is not polar compound. So this kind of interaction force also does not present. Well, finally, of course, the answer will be the remaining option, which is the London dispersion force. But what is London dispersion force? So London dispersion force is the most basic or fundamental interaction force, which means the answer is D. So, okay, that's our progress so far. I hope you don't have any difficulties so far. Before we continue to question number 16. Okay, question number 16, we need to think a little deep. The melting point of water decreases with increasing pressure. Which is the best explanation for this observation? So A, B, C, D. Let's start from option A. Let's analyze. Option A, liquid water is denser than solid water at 0 degrees. The question is melting point of water decreasing with increasing pressure. So what happens when water receives pressure? So if external pressure is applied into water, then of course the volume will decrease. But to get to have a decrease in volume, so water needs to shift to to higher density. So equilibrium will shift to denser state to reduce volume. So it means that equilibrium will shift to a state that has higher density. And then if we can see here, so water has more density. So this means that some ice will turn into water. So ice will melt. In simpler word, we can say that ice will melt. So this means melting point will decrease. So the answer A is true. But before we come into conclusion, maybe we can see about the other option as well. So option B, melting of ice is endothermic at 0 degrees. The problem is the melting process is always endothermic. So it has nothing to do whether the melting point will rise or the melting point will decrease if pressure is applied. So option B is wrong. And then let's go to option C. Vapor pressure of water is less than vapor pressure of ice. This is a false statement because the vapor pressure of ice should be less than vapor pressure of water at liquid state. So C is incorrect. And then if we look at option D, solid and liquid water cannot coexist at equilibrium at 0 degrees at pressure other than 1 atm. So this means at 0 degrees the pressure can only be 1 atm for water to be present at both states, solid and liquid. Well, actually this statement is true, but it's just not relevant to the question. So this means the answer is A. Okay, next is we will go to question number 17. A cylinder containing a mixture of carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide has a pressure of 2 atm at 93 degrees Celsius. And then it is cooled into minus 90 degrees of Celsius, where carbon monoxide is still gas, but CO2 becomes solid with this vapor pressure. And then, if the pressure in the cylinder after it is being cooled is 0.9, then what is the mole fraction of CO2 in the cylinder? Well, let's see. At minus 90 degrees of Celsius, this is the total pressure, 0.9 atm, and this is the vapor pressure of CO2. So from here, we can calculate the pressure of carbon monoxide. So carbon monoxide doesn't experience phase change. So assume that all gases follow ideal gas correlation. It means that PV over T is constant, but there is no change in volume. So the expression can be simplified into this. Okay, let's calculate the pressure of CO at 93 degrees of Celsius. So this means P1 over T1 equals P2 over T2. So this means that the pressure of carbon monoxide at 93 degrees of Celsius can be calculated, and then we can get this value 1.3 atm. And then remember that the total pressure is 2 atm. So the mole fraction of carbon monoxide is 0.65. But anyhow, the question is asking us about the mole fraction of carbon dioxide. So mole fraction of carbon dioxide is 1 minus the previous value, which gives us 0.35. And this makes the answer C. Okay, so 3 more questions. Next is question 18. A mineral containing only copper and oxygen adopts the cubic unit cells shown below. What is the formula of this mineral? Okay, so there are circles or balls. The first one has green color and the other has black color. So the black color represents copper and the green one represents oxygen. So from the diagram, we should notice that there are 8 oxygen atoms located at the vertices, and then 1 oxygen atom located exactly at the middle, and then there are 4 copper atoms located inside the cube. So next is we need to calculate the number of copper atoms. There are 4 of them, which is located inside the cube, and then the number of oxygen atoms. So this is located inside the cube. So this is 1, and then 8 atoms located at the vertices should be divided by 8. Why? Well, because vertices, this is vertices or vertex. It means that for each atom located here, only 1/8 fraction, which is located inside the cube. So the other is located at the cube, outside the cube. So that's why this is the whole 8 carbon atoms should be divided by 8. So the result is 2. So this makes the number of carbon to oxygen atoms equals to 4/2. We can simplify this number, becomes 2/1, and then this makes the compound has a chemical formula of Cu2O, and then the answer is A. Okay, if there's no problem, we'll continue to question number 19. Question number 19. Burning 48 grams of graphite in excess of oxygen under standard condition releases this amount of heat. What is the standard enthalpy of formation for carbon dioxide? So the keyword here is releases. So the word releases here have an implication that the result, the enthalpy, will have a negative value. So the answer is either C or B. And then if you take a look on the reaction, so this is the reaction, carbon plus oxygen produces carbon dioxide. 48 grams of carbon means that there are 4 moles of them. So this means that the enthalpy of formation is this amount divided by 4 moles. So this is divided by 4 moles. Where is it? Okay, divided by 4 moles. Okay, here it is, divided by 4 moles. And then the result is minus 394 kilojoules over mole. So the answer is C. Well, last question. This is related with physics actually. Two metal samples labeled by A and B absorb the same amount of heat. Sample A has mass of 10 grams and then the temperature increases by 38 degrees of Celsius. And then sample B receives the same amount of heat and then its mass is 20 grams and then its temperature increases by 23 degrees of Celsius after receiving the same amount of heat. So which one that has greater specific heat capacity? So if we take a look at this, this is physics actually. So the correlation for specific heat is given by this Q equals m times T times difference in temperature. By rearranging this correlation, we can get C equals Q over m times delta T. And then for object A, the mass is 10 grams, temperature difference 38 degrees of Celsius. So C is Q over 380. While for object B, which its mass is 20 grams, and then temperature difference is 23 degrees of Celsius, we can say that its specific heat is Q over 460. So by comparing this, it is clear that A has more specific heat compared to B. Well, because it has less denominator. So consequently, the fraction, the actual value will be greater than B. So this means that the answer for question 20 is A. Well, I hope there's no problem with this part. So thank you very much for watching this video. See you next time. Thank you.